Well, today we are here with Erica Cubbin to learn more about the Alliance of Coalition for Healthy Communities. So, Erica, how are you?
Good. How are you, Lisa?
Great. So tell us about what is the coalition.
So it's the ACHC, the Alliance for Coalitions for Healthy Communities, was founded in the early 90s, and it's essentially an umbrella organization for 19 different community coalitions throughout Oakland County. Their goal is prevention, support, and recovery. So they're out there getting into the schools to do the prevention piece, doing the after-school programs, and educating the parents around all the different things that our youth go through. Specifically, in my capacity, it's around substance abuse and substance abuse prevention.
Okay.
So, in about 2013, we noticed this gap. There was a gap in the community. We had prevention efforts, we had treatment for people who suffered with addiction, but there wasn't support for families. So we partnered with Families Against Narcotics and brought Families Against Narcotics into Oakland County as a partnership with the ACHC. And Clawson was actually the first one in Oakland County to launch. So that is a monthly meeting that provides support and education to family members as well as people who are struggling with addiction.
Okay, wonderful. Now, do you do like assembly-like type programs in the schools? Or?
Yes, the ACHC does go into right now they're doing a keep them safe, keep them healthy, and that's a 2-part program where there's a parent component, where there's a panel that speaks to parents about the opioid epidemic, about all of the things that our youth are facing, especially in regards to substance use disorders. And then the second component of that is a panel that speaks to the kids. Goes into the high schools, goes into the middle schools, takes in a young person in recovery to share their story. Because that's, I was a substance abuse counselor, I was a probation officer, but me going in and talking doesn't have a whole lot of impact. But if you take in a young person who these students can identify with, that has a lot bigger impact on them.
Wonderful. Now, can you give me your best example of the way you've seen your organization's work impact make a difference in the community?
Absolutely. I mean, we've reached thousands of students just through that program. But as far as the support aspect, which is what I'm really involved in the family piece of it, it's been 3 years now that we've been doing this, and to see the family members who can come in, when my family went through struggles with addiction, no one knew where to turn. You didn't really talk about it outside the family. The stigma of addiction has created so many worse problems for the people who suffer, in addition to for the family as a whole. So what we're seeing is people coming out, people telling their stories, and people helping each other. We're sharing resources. We usually will bring in a speaker to do an educational component where we're talking about, the relapse signs to look for. But essentially, it's getting everyone in the same room to be able to talk about it, reduce that stigma, let people know that there's help and that there's support. Families, you see families torn apart when they have loved ones who suffers with addiction. They go through, spouses and houses and cars, just trying to help that person without really understanding addiction and if what they're doing is hurting or helping. So what we're here is to try and educate those people, those families, and give them that support that hasn't always historically been around.
Yeah, definitely, because a young teen would, they tend to feel like ostracized, within the community. And then when they're in one of your meetings, I'm assuming that probably helps them tremendously just to know that there are other children their age that are dealing with, similar situations.
Well, we're dealing with the families for the most part. So we have the parents coming in.
Yes. Oh, just
so
the parents?
We have the parents, the siblings. We also have young people in recovery.
Okay.
But a lot of what we're doing is we're seeing the families because, a lot of times our first instinct in trying to help someone with an addiction may not be the right instinct. So getting the families together to try and help provide that support and that guidance, and really to make sure they're still taking care of themselves and not just losing themselves in trying to help their loved one who's suffering with addiction.
Now, what is the best way to learn about your organization?
The internet, right? It's the best way to learn about everything now. ACHCMI.org. I can get that to you in writing later. That talks about the family support piece that we do. It talks about the school programs that we do. It talks about the ACHC as a whole and everything that they're doing in the communities. It's really a very powerful organization. I help facilitate this Clawson meeting, but I'm also a member of the board for the ACHC for Oakland County. And just the ways that we are getting out there, the youth programs that they're running. We have fundraisers coming up. And the fundraisers are obviously about raising funds, but it's even more about raising awareness and getting people to start those difficult conversations.
And can you let us know about some of these fundraisers and when they're happening?
I can. I certainly don't want to mess up those dates, though, so let me refer to my
Go
notes
ahead,
here.
go ahead.
So we have a Ride for Recovery, which is September 30th. So it's a motorcycle ride that's going to go through part of Oakland County, and we're actually partnering with the Novi Drug Court for a boots on the ground color run after that. So it's gonna benefit both the ACHC and the Novi Drug Court.
Okay.
So that's on September 30th. Mark your calendars. You can register right on the achcmi.org
Good.
website. That's one of our big ones. We just had our 5K. It was our 3rd annual. We do a 5K in the summer, and we'll do it again next year, and that's to really raise awareness about substance abuse prevention, support, recovery. There's also going to be a gala that I don't have a lot of details on that one yet, but a more formal fundraiser where it's a per plate kind of price. There's going to be raffles, silent auctions, and that's going to be coming out in November. I think it's November 30th.
Okay. Now, do you live in Clawson?
I do.
You do? Well, then you can share with us what you love about Clawson.
Oh, I mean, there are so many things to love about Clawson. I like that it's a really close community that can be so supportive of its own. I've lived in big towns. I've lived in this small city actually for quite some time now, and to just see the way that you can get support.
Yes.
I mean, that can obviously, small towns also have some drawbacks, but in what we've experienced, a little bit of my background, I was a substance abuse counselor. We suffered with addiction throughout my family, but my ex-husband died of an overdose just under 2 years ago, and that's my daughter's
Sorry to hear
father.
that.
So being in a small town like this, thank you, being in a small town like this where we had, the entire football team who was, half of them showed up at the funeral and were there to really support my daughter. You don't see that in the big cities. You don't see
That's hard.
the coaches and the teachers showing up and just sending emails and checking on and being supportive of the community like that. And I just feel like we really have gotten that from living in Clawson.
Great, that's great to hear. Well, thank you, Erica. It was nice talking to you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Okay.